Helping someone with depression can be a challenge. If someone in your life has depression, you may feel helpless and wonder what to do. In my previous video, I talked about how you as a family member or a friend can help your loved one to cope with depression. Today, I will continue discussing this topic. I will give you more tips on how to communicate better with someone who's depressed. I'm a healthcare psychologist and therapist, and I make videos on psychology and mental health topics. One of the most important things is good communication. Show concern for your loved one with depression. Ask how he or she is doing and what he or she expects from you. Try to listen carefully during the conversation so that the other person feels seen and heard. You can then make a plan together if things really don't go well. Ask how you might notice that and what he or she would like you to do. Say what you really think and feel, and try to listen to the other person and understand what he thinks and feels. Poor communication means you don't want to express your feelings or listen to what the other person thinks and feels. Communicating with someone who's depressed is not easy. Maybe it's too intense for him to talk. Maybe he can't verbalize his feelings well. Listening is more than hearing the words the other is saying. Listening is putting yourself in other person's shoes and understanding what he or she is thinking and feeling. It's very helpful in conversation if you occasionally summarize in your own words what the other person is saying. That makes it clear to the other person that you are listening and helps him to sort out his thoughts. People tend to talk about what they think and to give their opinions. Only some tell someone directly how they feel. And yet, that is the most important thing. A good conversation helps the other to discover how he or she feels. It's certainly just as important to be open about your feelings. This can prevent conflicts. It's easy to get into conflict with someone who is depressed. This often has to do with the depressive interaction. It may also be related to the relationship that family members had before the person became depressed. It's known that many people who are depressed have relationship problems with their partner. Good communication is very important in all relationships, but especially if someone is struggling with depression. Friends and relatives ask how they can help and come up with all sorts of things. But the depressed person reacts slowly or maybe not at all. It sometimes seems that he is not at all interested in others and their help. As a family member, you can become irritated. Through body language and way of speaking, the anger about the unwillingness of the depressed person to be helped nevertheless comes out. The depressed person has a special sensitive antenna for these things. So he can think, see, I'm worthless. His self-esteem drops even further. Inside, the depressed person also gets angry with the one who wants to help him. He feels misunderstood. However, he swallows his anger because he is more than ever dependent on others. Swallowing anger is one of the expressions of depression. So the depression continues to worsen, and the help and support from you as a family member is even less effective because the irritation and anger builds up. Sometimes family members start blaming the depressed person directly. You have to do your best too, you know. Or just do it for the children because they have a hard time with it too. Some withdraw from the depressed person, which can also lead to blame and conflict. obviously, depressed people and their relatives can easily come into conflict with each other. What can you do as a family member? Accept that the other person is sick. Depression is a disease that needs treatment. That means that the depression will not go away with your help, no matter how well-intentioned. Also try to accept the other person's feelings, complaints and problems. That doesn't mean you have to agree with it. In any case, avoid blaming the other person for it. So don't say, "You are so negative all the time." A pitfall in good communication is that you try to solve the other person's problems. Don't be too quick with help and advice. Most people who talk about problems require the listener, not a solution. If there were simple solutions to the problems, then the other person would be able to discover them themselves. Spending a lot of time with a loved one who has depression can take an emotional toll. Know your limits around difficult emotions and make sure you take time to recharge. Giving up everything to support another person is not healthy, because then you run a great risk of becoming overloaded and overstrained. And when you become overloaded, you are no longer able to properly support your close one. It may help to realize that you are not responsible for your loved one's recovery. You try to support him or her as best as you can, but you are not a professional, so don't try to play a therapist. If the other person doesn't recover, it's not your fault. Curing depression must be done by a mental health professional. It is often easy for family members to see what the other person's needs are. But that's because you are not depressed. For the person with depression, it is not so simple. It is no help if you indicate what the other should do. Depression is the illness of the other person and not yours. The other will have to figure it out and to find his own way of dealing with it. Taking good care of yourself also includes maintaining a positive attitude. That's not easy, I know. People often think that it's selfish because the other person is suffering. The danger is that you get caught up in depression and emptiness, and it will drain you. In order to hold on, you will also have to take good care of yourself and to set your own boundaries. A good self-care is also asking for help when you need it. Humans are proud creatures and don't like to ask for help. Still, it is very important. You can think of your doctor, the therapist of a depressed relative, or a foundation that is committed to family members and friends of people with psychological problems. And also don't be afraid to share your concerns with your depressed loved one. Depression may also include symptoms such as thoughts of death or suicidality. Do you notice that this is happening with your friend or family member? Then it is best to contact a professional. Find a crisis service or suicide prevention phone number in your country. Let me know in the comments if this subject speaks to you. I would love for you to support me with a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell and to share this video with your friends. Thank you for staying with me. See you next time.